Hi everyone, Joshua Barks here, associate broker with Keller Williams Realty Boise and team lead of the Barks & Co real estate team. Here is this week's segment of our deep dive into the market dynamics for September 2022. We'll be covering both Ada and Canyon County existing home sales, and I know this video is going to be far too long for many of you, so I will include timestamps below so you can go to the sections that are super important to you. And then I also have some highlights. So let's dive into the highlights. First off, I know I've said this the past couple of times, but it's worth repeating because I'm still seeing some unrealistic sellers in our marketplace. The frenzy that we've been experiencing over the past 2 years is over. It is no more. That is the market of the past. We are in a new market right now. We have more inventory than we've had in years. We have lower demand, and in fact our demand levels are pretty comparable to what we typically see in the smack middle of winter. So we are seeing kind of a wintry market, and we know that winter is our slowest time of year, and that's kind of where we're at. Super high inventory compared to the past couple of years and lower demand compared to the past couple of years. So unrealistic sellers, take a beat, figure out what you're doing, and really have those good conversations with your real estate professional. So inventory, while it is up still month over month, year over year for both Ada and Canyon County, it really peaked in August. So September, we saw inventory decline, and it's still declining pretty steadily. Demand also continues to soften. It's not plummeting, but we are seeing demand continue to slowly. The overall number of pending home sales is going down. And right now, like I said, we're comparable to what we're seeing typically in the winter months. Average sales price. This one's super interesting right now because the average sales price is still up year to date for Ada County. However, in both Ada and Canyon County, we saw the average sales price decrease month over month. So the average sales price is less now than it was a month ago, and that is the first time that has happened since October of 2014. So many years ago, first time in years that we've seen the average sales price actually decline month over month. Now that shows that prices are continuing to soften, and we're going to continue to see prices come down a bit as interest rates continue to rise aggressively. Absorption rates, however, with the rate at which homes are coming off the market and selling, we're still showing a seller's market. We're much closer to a balanced market than we've been in years, but we're not quite a balanced market yet. However, as inventory comes up and demand continues to come down, as interest rates rise, we're going to be pushed closer and closer to that balanced market, which is going to be better for everybody. It's a lot more fair now than it has been in a while. Speaking of fairness, negotiations, counteroffers, inspection requests, that's commonplace now. Seller paid closing costs for the buyer. That's something that you can get once in a while. Many sellers are also offering to buy the buyer's interest rate down. So that's where they pay a credit similar to closing costs. However, instead of going toward closing costs, they go to your lender to buy down your interest rate and give you a lower interest rate on your mortgage. And so we're seeing that happen more and more, especially because interest rates are so much higher than they have been in years, but also year over year and month over month. That being said, it's still a good time to buy or sell depending on your specific individual needs. So if you've been considering a move, but you're just not sure about finding your next place or how that's going to work or how your home fits into that, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to give you that information so that you can make that decision. I can't make that decision for anybody. I'm just here to give you the information that you need in order to make a good decision for you and your family. That way you can figure out what your next move is. That's what I'm here for. Okay, let's dive into Ada County. So existing home sales for Ada County, like always, let's start with our market trends chart because that gives us a good look at supply and demand and what's going on there. So as I said, inventory peaked back in August when we had 1,600 available homes on the market. Right now, we have just under 1,500, so 1,482, which is more than or almost twice as much as the 888 we had this time last year. Then when you look in 2020, when we had no inventory on the market, we only had 273 homes on the market this time of year. So quite a change over the past couple of years. And then when you're looking at the number of pending sales, in contrast to that, we have 512 that are pending, which is down slightly from the 526 we had last month. And again, like I said, last month we were down slightly from the month before that. So we are seeing demand soften, but not at the same rate that inventory is. But the 512 is less than what we had this time last year with 839, and less than the year before that at 893 pending in September, or at the end of September, excuse me. So then when we look at the number of closed sales, it's kind of a similar story to what we're seeing in closed sales as what we saw in pending sales. We have 525 homes closed this September, 566 closed a month ago, so we're down slightly month over month. We are down year over year as well, with 770 this time last year, and then the 877 the year before that when we had that crazy summer. So what we're seeing, again, is just the overall market continuing to stabilize and normalize as things just become at a much slower pace. Because we have more inventory than we've had in such a long time, and because our demand levels being at that roughly early 500 number, see, that's what we typically see in the winter months: December 500, January 500, February 506. So that's what I'm saying when I say we're kind of entering into a winter market rather than a fall market. Then when we're looking at the average sales price, we have $609,300 for the average sales price in Ada County. It's still up year to date, so almost 6% year to date. But last month, our average sales price was $610. So yeah, it's only $1,000 different. But the significance is that it's the first time it's been different in lower capacity than we've seen since 2014. Now, that being said, with interest rates, that's something that I want to talk about later, but I think it's also worth mentioning right now. With the average sales price being $610,000 a month ago, if you were to get a mortgage on a $600,000 home, paying 20% down, a month ago, interest rates were, 5% or whatever, it doesn't matter. But they were nearly 1% less than what we're seeing now. That's the key. And so if you got a mortgage payment last month at $600,000, right now, if you were to get a mortgage at our 1% higher, the same monthly payment is now on a $540,000 house. So that's a $60,000 decrease in purchasing power, even though prices only came down by $1,000 a month. So that's where I'm saying it's very important as a buyer to be aware of that, because even though prices are coming down, because interest rates are still rising very rapidly, mind you, you're losing more buying power by waiting than you would by buying now and then refinancing later. So that's just something to kind of keep in the back of your head. When we're talking about just based on the absorption rates and across all price points, like I said, still considered a seller's market for Ada County, where we have under 4 months supply all the way up to $1.5 million. And then we're in a balanced market in the $1.5 to $2 million at 5.3. And then because we're over 6 months supply, we're in a buyer's market for the 2 million plus market. So overall, our average absorption rate is 2.5 months. So if no new homes came on the market and buyers were still buying them at the pace that they have been the last 12 months, we have 2.5 months left of available homes on the market. After 2.5 months, 0 homes would be available. 21 days is our average days on market. So like I've been saying, that is increasing. The last time we had inventory this high was 2015, and our average days on market was 40 days at that time. So we still have a ways to go before experiencing that. However, we are getting we are rapidly rising, and these numbers do lag behind. So I'm anticipating us still seeing our average days on market potentially being around 30 by the end of the year. Maybe slightly under that, maybe slightly over that, but I think we're going to see it closer to a month, which is similar to what we saw prior to the pandemic. So when we're looking at the average sales price of 609, the average pending right now at 650, and the average asking price at 720, we still see sellers are, hoping to get 720, but maybe they're getting around 650, and then ultimately what they've sold for is 609. So we still see potentially upward pressure on prices if we have homes close close to that pending number. But we do, for the first time, well, not the first time, it's been that way for the past several months, but we have less than 100% sold to ask price ratio. So that means that sellers on average are getting less than what their asking price is. So 99.4% list ask price. That still means some sellers are getting more because the average to get close to 100% has to have some that are above 100% and then some that are below. And the majority are probably pretty close to asking price, but we are still seeing a lot of price reductions. So that's kind of Ada County. Let's talk about the top 3 areas. They're actually the same as what we saw last month. North Boise coming in number 1 at 10.5%, just about. Average sales price in the north end, or North Boise, is $842,000. Star just under 10% with an average sales price out there of $661,000. And then Southwest Meridian coming in at number 3 at 8.9% so far this year, and an average sales price of $703,000. So that's what we're seeing for Ada County. Let's dive into Canyon County. So first off, again, let's start with the market trends chart and discuss that. You can see we peaked in August with inventory 687 because we're down to 672. I know it's not by much. Same with Ada County. The 672 is, again, almost but not quite double what we had this time last year with 407. And then it's up significantly from what we had in 2020 when we had nothing available on the market. And then when you're talking about the number of pending sales, we're still seeing that hover around the early 200s. So 241 pending right now compared to last month when we had 255. And that's down almost by half when we had 403 last year. And then, of course, we had 391 in 2020. So year over year, we're down. Over the past couple of years, we're still down from what we saw in 2020 because, like I said, last couple of years were a crazy frenzy. But as you can see with the number of demand, the gray bars here, we are hovering in that 200, early 200 mark for the past several months. And that's because of interest rates. Interest rates have risen, and so demand that we typically see an uptick in the fall has diminished. And then many people that were looking or wanted to look no longer are. And or people are moving out to Canyon County instead of Ada County because prices in Ada County have gone up too much along with interest rates as well. So we are going to see continued upward pressure on prices in Canyon County that we haven't seen in Ada County because there's simply more room to grow. The average sales price out there, let's dive into that, is $436,000, which is up 8.5%. It is down from the ridiculous 20% number we saw last month. But like I said, that was an anomaly because the average increased because we had some really high dollar sales take place that like over $1 million sales took place in the not last month, but the month prior to that, causing that 20% increase. And then over the past month, we started to see, those more normal sales take place in Canyon County, bringing us back down to this reasonable number of 8.5%. So the average sales price in Canyon County is just under 437,000, as you can see, and that's likely going to continue on that pace. It's possible that we see Canyon County, end the year around 10%, because I don't see Canyon County diminishing as quickly as Ada County, because again, $436,000 is a much more attainable based on our wages for our area compared to what we have in Ada County right now. When you're talking about the absorption rate and everything, average days on market in Canyon County is 1 day less than Ada County. Again, like I said, demand is going to be a little bit higher in Canyon County than what we see in Ada County, even though the numbers aren't quite higher than what we see, just because there's fewer homes out there. But we still have, an average of 2.5 months supply, so still strongly seller's market all the way up to 800,000. And then we have a balanced market from 800 to 1.5. And then, of course, the buyer's market over the 1.5 million. And then here's the two sales that I was talking about that really skewed our average sales price the last month. So 436,000. What is the average sales price in the last 12 months? The average price of a home that's marked pending in MLS right now is 466. So again, still seeing upward pressure there. If people are still, getting close to their asking price, 99.6% of asking price on average. And then 508,000 is the average asking price. 4 of those, note that 4 of those are over 1.5 million and 17 of those are over 1 million. So I think this number, if you got rid of those, would be a little bit less than that because, of course, as you can see, the majority of activity that takes place in Canyon County is between 350 and 500 in the existing market. So that's kind of the more normal section of Canyon County, I would say. And an average days on market for those is under 20 days, 17 days, and 19 days. So still under 3 weeks, but rising every day. The top 3 areas for Canyon County, of course, we have the outliers, Greenleaf, Wilder, and Parma, because there's always fewer sales out there. So the increases and decreases in the average sales price is a lot more drastic out there. I know I've mentioned that a few times, but almost 26% year to date for Greenleaf. Average sales price out there, $540,000. Wilder coming in at number 2. It was number 3 last month. It just under 16% with 447. Parma was number 2 last month and is now number 3 at 13.2% and an average sales price of $371. So that's what's happening in Canyon County. Let's get into interest rates. Fun number for October especially, 6.66 is the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate right now, according to Freddie Mac and their report. And they have indicated that, and as we've seen with the news with the Fed, this 6.66 did decline week over week. Last week it was 6.67. So it didn't come down by much, as you can see, 0.04 down 1 week over week. But we're still, very close to 7%. Not a year ago, a month ago, last month, we were at 5.8. So like I said, we've almost come up a whole percentage point in just 1 month. Which for every 1% that we see an increase in mortgage rates, buying power decreases by 10%. I'll get into that in a second, actually right here, because that's where I'm going to talk about the true cost of waiting. So because interest rates have been super volatile in the past several months, however, we're still seeing the Fed say, sorry, not sorry. I'm raising rates because inflation is still rampant and out of control. We need to raise rates in order to slow inflation. So we're likely to see high rates and high inflation for a little while and as they battle to get that under control. But like I just said, for every 1% increase in mortgage rates, your buying power decreases by 10%. So what that means is, as an example, your monthly payment, this is just principal and interest, so I'm not taking into consideration taxes and insurance, and I'm considering that you have 20% down. So all that aside, these are very rough numbers. I'm not a lender. You'll want to talk to a lender, and I can partner you with somebody. I have amazing lenders on my team that I'm happy to get you connected with so that you can discuss this further. But the rough numbers is basically your payment on a $500,000 home at 6% is the same payment as a $450,000 home at 7%. So $50,000 less just because interest rates are 1% more. So that's where I was saying for Ada County, if you were buying a $600,000 house last month, the mortgage payment for that is now a $540,000 home. And average sales price only came down by $1,000. So really waiting for prices to go down while interest rates rise as volatile rapidly as they are, you lost $39,000 in purchasing power. $39,000 because your payment is the same as a house that's now $39,000 less, even though, or not 39, 540. I meant 60,000. I'm sorry. Because it's 10% of 600,000, $60,000. So $60,000. So 59, because average sales price went down from 610 to 609. And so if you're waiting for prices to come down, they came down 1,000 in a month. But your purchasing power went down by 60,000. So really you lost $59,000 in purchasing power in 1 month because you're waiting. So don't wait arbitrarily as a buyer. If you have a good reason to wait, that's great. But if you're waiting purely because you want rates to come down or you're waiting for prices to come down, that is probably going to screw you. Just because prices are not coming down fast enough to compensate for the rising rates. And they probably won't come down that dramatically quickly enough to where that'll make a difference for you. You'll end up paying less or paying more for less of a home later just by waiting because of interest rates and where prices are going. Yes, prices are coming down, and that's a great thing. But again, they're not coming down by $60,000 in a month when now your mortgage payment is the same for $60,000 less of a house 1 month later. So that's really what that is. I'm sorry if that was confusing. If it was, please reach out. I'm happy to explain that in greater detail. But if you're thinking about moving this fall or next spring, it's really never too early to start planning, even if you're thinking maybe next summer. But this fall, winter, or spring, it's not too early to start planning. I'm meeting with people right now that are thinking about moving right after the holidays and getting on the market next spring so that they can make stuff work. And this way we can get stuff set up and arranged for you so that you have more success and less stress going into it because we're not scrambling at the very last minute. And if you have projects that you want to get done, now's a great time to get started because contractors are less busy than they have been. They're still busy, but not as insane as it has been the past couple of years. And the best part is if you're staying in your home, you can have them work on these projects and then enjoy the rewards, the benefits of having these projects done during living in your home for the holidays. So you'll get to enjoy the fruits of your labor through the holidays and then list after that. So typical closing time frame is about 30 days still from an accepted offer to transferring the keys over. So 30 days. So if your goal is to move, let's see, it's October now. So if your goal is to move before Thanksgiving, you probably want to get under contract, so have an accepted offer on the home that you're selling or the home that you're buying in the next 2 weeks in order to get into a home prior to Thanksgiving. So that's why I say typical closing time frame is 30 days because it's important. And it always depends on what your time frame is. My time frame doesn't matter because it's not about me, it's about you. So if you're in a hurry to get your property sold, we can do that. And if you want to wait, we can do that too. It's all up to you. So if you are buying and selling as a seller, it's super important to make sure that you know how to make your home stand out against the competition, or better yet, rely on your agent. Your agent should know or have a designer like I do on their team that can help you get your home ready and looking its best, even not doing repairs, just with simple staging and great photos, and maybe cleaning or painting a wall that's needs touch-up paint, stuff like that. But there are fewer buyers out there and a lot of competition for sellers than they've had in years. So make sure your home stands out. But even making sure your home stands out, that's not everything. Price has gotten even more relevant today and is so important because we're seeing so many price reductions out there because sellers are still thinking, oh, well, my neighbor sold for XYZ, and so I can get XYZ plus X. Let's just start there and see what happens. No, your neighbor sold for XYZ. You should probably price your home less than that because the prices have come down and there's fewer buyers out there. So make your home look better than theirs and then price it appropriately so that you're not chasing the market as prices continue to go down. Because otherwise you're going to start high and reduce, and the longer you're on the market and the longer prices go down, you're just going to end up chasing the market down. Make sure that as a buyer, it's still important to get your ducks in a row. So that way, when you find the right place, you can move forward and come in with a strong offer right away. And the benefit to you as a buyer with coming in with a strong offer right away is that those people that know what they're doing, that aren't messing around, are able to negotiate way better than people that wait and that are kind of wishy-washy during the process, because you can flat out say, here's what I want, these are the things, this is what I'm willing to do, take it or leave it, and then have that negotiation process. So your chances of winning those negotiations on price and terms is the best if you are prepared going into it. That means making sure that you're pre-approved, making sure that you're ready with your down payment, making sure that you have a pretty clear idea on what you want. And the only way to do that is to meet with an agent that you trust, work on that pre-approval, and then start looking at homes. And that way you can really gather and maybe even go to open houses and take a look at different neighborhoods and things that you like about specific homes and neighborhoods and really formulate that idea, because now you have a lot more options as a buyer. And so you can get, if you're really clear about what you want, we as agents can go out there and get that for you. The best part about our current market is because less homes sell within that first week, it's going to feel less chaotic. You can actually plan a time to go look at homes rather than every day after work have to look at this home because it hit the market today. So it's a lot less chaotic for everybody. And that's really the benefit of being a buyer in today's market. And I hate the saying, but it is date the rate, marry the house. Find a house that you love and then refinance later when rates go down, when rates go down. And again, reports are saying that might be years. So that's just something to consider. Well, that's what I have for you this time. I know it was super long. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I do these videos for you because I look at this information all day, every day. I don't need to revisit it, but I put this together in order to help educate and guide others. So if there's something that you want me to cover or things that you want me to make more clear for future videos, please let me know. You can comment on this video or you can reach out to me directly. But otherwise, I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. I can't believe it's October already. And next week, we'll see you for Market Watch. And it's going to be much shorter because it's just our regular weekly update. All right. See you then.